I think my comment earlier about the various sources of relativism in my thinking indicate that the notion of proving or demonstrating anything is really not the way I think about things. So I don't think we can prove the existence of the grass out there as something that really exists, or of another human being, or perhaps even of ourselves. So I'd just like to set aside notions of proof and demonstration, if one means them in any literal or heavy sense. Can one give reasons to support the belief that there is God? Okay. And there my answer is yes, but of course every set of reasons one gives operates inside of some more fundamental assumptional system. So the reasons that I give operate inside a process vision of reality. And the process vision of reality overcomes or sets aside some of the main reasons that moderns have rejected the belief in God. So the argument, the first stage would come on, for example, how are we to think of causality? Once upon a time, it was thought you could argue in some even demonstrable fashion from the existence of a world to the existence of a creator. That presupposes a notion of causality that Hume and Kant have shown doesn't make sense. So the argument just isn't possible if you have been influenced by the history of modern philosophy. Or others might try to say that there are certain kinds of human experiences that it seems must be caused by God. But again, that notion of causality doesn't work in modern philosophy. And I think one could go down the list and show in other ways as well, but the fundamental assumptions of both the Kantian tradition and the Humean tradition, and between the two of them they largely determine the modern understanding of causality, makes it impossible to give arguments for the existence of God. Now, Whitehead provides us with a fundamentally different notion of causality. His notion of causality is the immanence of one event in another event. And if one really shifts to that way of thinking of causality, then the causal efficacy of God in the world is a easily thinkable notion. Then the question is, are there things happening in the world that are best understood as being the result of the causal efficacy of God? If we translate old arguments about reasons for the existence of God into those terms, some of them make sense. That's what Hartshorne devoted a lot of time to giving a neoclassical understanding of God and the world, which set aside or made an end run around the modern objections to that kind of thinking. So inside of process thought, I am happy to try to give reasons for affirming God, and that's important because obviously there are process thinkers who don't affirm God. So this is an inner process debate as well as with the world in general. To me, one of the great contributions of process thought, and one of the ways it's captured my mind, is by pointing out that sense experience is quite secondary to other dimensions of experience. So much of the problem with causality, so much of the problem with thinking about God, has been due to the primacy of sense experience in Greek philosophy to a large extent, but certainly in modern philosophy. Since we all affirm God cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be heard, cannot be smelled, we cannot get to God through sense experience, then you turn around and say all of our knowledge arises in sense experience, you have virtually excluded in principle, the possibility of very sensibly talking about God. But if we say that sense experience is one very specialized form of experience, and most experience is non-sensuous, then once again the topic of God becomes a normal one to bring into the picture. One may still say we don't need that hypothesis, but that's a debatable topic without any kind of epistemological or metaphysical reason for not engaging in it.